Hello and welcome everyone. Now this is my first movie review ever, so you may have to hold with me as it may be up and all over the place, but this is about a movie that I was very excited to see. Now the movie in question is 28 years later. Now this review is going to be a spoiler based review, so it's going to have different topics about different key scenes and what has happened throughout the movie. So if you can please hold with me about the review maybe being all over the place and maybe not so focused and concentric, hopefully you can get a good grasp of the movie and how I felt about the movie. Alright, and to get into the further part of the review. So, my negatives of the overall movie, and there wasn't really a lot to be honest. I enjoyed the movie a lot, but there was just one or two weird things that I thought could have been done better. And I'd like to reiterate that there is things that I think could have been done better overall in the movie, but I think these were just sort of the strange sort of nitpicky things that I could find. And so early on in the movie, when Spike is venturing out with his father, they spot Spike and his father spot a fire off in the distance, and the camera angle on this, the camera zoom actually, sorry, was a bit weird. It was like zooming in as like with the scene, and it just looked very strange. It looked almost unprofessional. I don't want to like say that because I feel like everything is done on purpose in movies, and essentially like with a big movie like this and such a major director, I think everything is done on purpose. That was one little negative. The other little negative was, and now I have this listed as a positive as well, but the kill shot's low frame swing. Probably that sounds like an absolute weird jumble of words there, but what I mean in that is, there was some kill shots against some zombies when Spike and his father were out early in the movie, hunting, and I believe this was done with the iPhone sort of frames that they had where they were filming on iPhones. Um, but this it was almost like a Matrix shot where Spike say would shoot a zombie and it would freeze frame, and then the camera would go from different camera angles and frames, and say from the front of a zombie around to the back while it was all frozen, and then it would play out. Now it was cool, but it was a bit low framed. But I only think the reason that is because of the iPhone frames that they were using. And now I don't think this is a overall negative, but I think it was a little bit weird at some. And now the positives. The different camera angles. Once again, I think that this movie was very well shot. It had a lot of different camera angles, and this was due to the iPhones being used. And I think this is a very unique way to take on shooting a movie nowadays. And I think it came off well. Okay, and my next positive point was the unpredictable story. Now, I was going into this movie having watched all the movie trailers, sort of indulged myself in everything leading up to the movie that I could. And I was sort of expecting something else to come out of this movie. And I was expecting some sort of. I was expecting the first half of the movie, but I wasn't expecting the characters to be the way they were and certain characters to play out the way they did. And other aspects just were very different, and it was all very unpredictable. And I think that is a great thing. Um, a lot of movies these days, they have become very predictable, and I think that it being unpredictable is just a great quality of the movie. Now, this is a major spoiler. So, an interesting story development. This goes along with the unpredictable story. There was just lots of different things going on in the movie that just kept you on your toes and just kept you unexpected with just the story beat of the movie. Now a few little things I have written down here is the the zombie mother giving birth. This was just completely unexpected whatsoever. Um, from the trailers, essentially, I thought I had gathered that Spike would come across a woman who had a baby, and he was trying to get them back to his village, and on the way back, they were sort of gonna come across and get into all sorts of tangles with different enemies and what else. But it was completely different. A zombie gave birth, and Spike's mother helped the zombie give birth, and there was sort of a human connection between both the mothers. The zombie did not attack Spike's mother while she was giving birth, which was very unique. And the baby came out looking like just like a normal human being, which is just crazy to think. Who the hell would have thought about that in a movie, in a zombie movie especially? It's just crazy. The Bone Temple. Now, to me, this just seems like a bit of a, I guess, like a memorial to everyone's lives that have gone by. And now, in the Doctor's sort of story, it's sort of untold as of yet. He sort of never really said what he was up to at the Bone Temple. He was only sort of, I guess, building a memorial to the other people. But I'd like to see it potentially explore that he is looking at a cure for the zombie virus or the rage virus, and potentially experimenting or doing other things. Um, and now this is probably one of the biggest things that just absolutely made me do a backflip in the movies. The Cult of Jimmy. The ending scene was just out there. Um, Jimmy's cult comes in, the boy from the very starting scene of the movie. And he's all grown up now, and he's looking like an absolute English lad, if you could call it that, in his full Adidas tracksuit, and his sort of long blonde hair, and his upside down cross that he's wearing from his father. These guys come out and they start doing backflips, and they look like the Power Rangers or the Teletubbies almost. I think that's what they're meant to represent, the Teletubbies from the opening scene in the movie. Because they're all in different Adidas colored tracksuits, and they're doing backflips and defeating these zombies that were after Spike. Um, yeah, it was a very, 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 very strange one. And to me, they almost seem like these characters are enhanced in some way, potentially, as they were doing lots of backflips and doing lots of physically, I wouldn't say extraordinary stuff, because I think any normal human being could do them, but, uh, yeah, in saying that they were doing lots of backflips and defeating these zombies with absolute ease, it was like, a nice fun day for them. And they all do this funny little dance at the end whenever they defeat a zombie. It was just really strange. So, my overall thoughts of the movie, once again, the movie was not what I was expecting whatsoever, which I absolutely loved. Like I said before, I think that the movie took a different direction to all the other movies like ever in the world that are currently coming out, and I think I just love that. The ending, I guess, the ending and overall sort of story left me a bit disappointed, but eager for the next two movies, as this movie is meant to be a set of it's meant to be a part of a trilogy, and so I guess we'll get with the next two movies the story, the overall story, developing more. Um, and so there was another few dot points that I had down here. Um, it was a bit of a weird one. So there, I feel like there was a slight theme of family. I guess you could say that in the movie. I don't know where else I could put it down to. Um, the first kind of early scenes I could pick up on it was, I guess, or family or humanity, in a sense. The first early scenes I could pick up of it was when Spike and his father first encounter some zombies. Now they encounter these fat bloated zombies and they kill a bunch of them. And then Spike's father lines up the final little girl zombie, and she seems absolutely innocent but disgusting at the same time, as she's a big bloated zombie. Um, she does not attempt to attack or do anything to Spike and his father, but she just runs away. And Spike sort of calls out to his father to like not shoot the little girl zombie, which I thought was very cool. He sort of And I guess it's still early on in the movie, and he hasn't developed as a character yet. But he still sort of sees the zombies as people or something like a living entity almost still, and he doesn't want that to he doesn't want it to be ended. A few other scenes was the zombies actually well, the rage virus seems to have maybe maybe mutated, or maybe it's still the humanity coming out in the infected humans. The people that are infected, they still seem to stay within a community and linger and almost communicate with each other like any other community would. Now, there's a scene where the pregnant mother zombie is in this creek with other zombies, hanging, and they're just hanging around. They're in the water, walking about. They're not necessarily like talking to each other and looking at each other face to face, but they just seem to be like a community and living together. And the alpha zombie, Samson, he seems to almost be once again like the alpha to this sort of zombie community, small family, in feeding them and helping them survive and live. And another thing is, which I found really cool, is when when Spike, his mother, and Eric Sunverse, a NATO soldier, finds this mother zombie and gets the baby. The mother zombie eventually does come back to her sort of, I guess, rage slash zombie instincts and tries to attack Spike's mother. Now, Eric kills the zombie with his gun, which I guess alerts whoever was around. Um, Eric is then killed by the alpha sort of zombie on this train scene that they're in, where they find the baby. Samson, the alpha zombie, is then sort of in pursuit of Spike and his mother to get his baby back, and which I find very, 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 very interesting and very cool. It's almost like a fatherly instinct, like that he wants to get his family back, and potentially he wants to get revenge for his, potential spouse being murdered. Um, Also, I have heard and seen different things from different people on the internet saying that Samson will be returning in the next movie, 28 Years of the Bone Temple, which is very cool. As the baby is still alive, and Spike eventually takes that back to his community right before the end of the movie. Um, Other than that, the tone changes were just it was just flipping on a dime every second, which was good. This is such a unique movie, and that's what I love about it. Um, the movie goes from being very serious to almost like a comedy 1 second, to a horror movie the next, to a comedy to being serious. It's just flipping all about the place, and look, sometimes that can be good and sometimes it can be bad. I think in this movie, sometimes it hits right and sometimes it doesn't hit right, but overall, I really enjoyed it. Now, this is sort of my last sort of part of the movie, my movie review. The unexpected sort of character traits, personalities, whatever you want to say. Now, my first sort of anticipated character for this movie, and to be honest, I can't tell you why, but I was very anticipated and excited for Edwin Ryder's NATO soldier sort of character. I think his name is Eric Sunverse in the movie. Um, Essentially, I thought he was going to be some sort of stoic soldier who was on a secret mission, who would sacrifice himself, similar to Jeremy Renner in 28 Weeks Later. Except he comes off very brash and comes off as a comedy slip into the movie. He's just very out there, and like, it's hard to say, but he's just very out there, and he's very against the zombies, and he's worried, and he's being a comedy. He is a slight comedy relief for the short sort of time that he's in the movie. Another part is I sort of wish he played a larger role in the movie. He was only in the movie for I think about 10 to 15 minutes, maybe less. He did play a major role in helping and saving Spike and his mother, but in saying that, after that, he didn't really play much of a role at all. I wish they also sort of expanded on how his ship sunk and what had happened sort of in the lead up to that, and like maybe something to do with his comrades or anything like that. Because essentially, you're just thrown into this scene where these NATO soldiers are running down what I presume is this sort of drainage area, and they're just being slaughtered and murdered by the zombies. Um, it was sort of revealed that on the Rage Leaks website, that this was a website that was produced during like before the movie was produced, that they were sort of I guess a NATO patrol ship, and that their ship had just hit something and was sinking, and that they couldn't stay out on the waters on their dinghy. Now I'm no boat expert, so don't hate on me, but I think a dinghy could maybe stay out on the waters for you know for a while. But anyway, and that's pretty much his character. He has no sort of expansion or anything like that. It's just pretty black and white with him. Now my next character is Spike's father. Once again, it's sort of similar to Edwin Ryder's character. Just he was not what I expected whatsoever from the trailers. To be honest, I thought Spike's father was gonna perish and maybe sacrifice himself. He doesn't. I was expecting him to be very stoic, which he is in a way, in a sense, but when he comes back he to the community with Spike for the first time, I can understand what he's doing. He sort of wants to prop Spike up as a hero of his community, and is saying all these sorts of different things about him, saying that he killed this zombie when he didn't, and that he was very strong and brave. I can understand that part. But then the part that I found very sort of, I guess, confronting about the character is when he's found cheating on his wife, and Spike finds him cheating on his wife with another lady in the community. Now, this absolutely, I guess, puts Spike in all sorts of different emotions. Spike sort of later then confronts his father about this, and this was the part that I just didn't expect whatsoever. Like a switch just flips in Spike's father, and he becomes this very angry like man, and you just see him start punching a wall very aggressively, and like at one point I thought he was almost going to harm Spike, but he stops himself, and then he just walks away with the absolute just anger in him. And in another movie review, I actually heard someone sort of suggest that this was the director trying to portray that the rage is actually in everyone still, but it just takes the virus to really bring it out. Other than that, Spike's father was a great character, and he's still alive, and so I expect to see more of him in the following film. The Doctor as well. This is the next character that I was sort of just like, wow, wasn't expecting that at all. I was expecting the Doctor to be potentially, from the trailers at least, I was expecting him to be maybe capture Spike and whoever he may have been traveling with, and potentially be like this mad scientist that's experimenting on them and be evil and whatnot else. But he's actually nice and friendly, and once again, he's a bit of a comedy relief. But just nothing goes into it. Nothing comes out of what he's been up to, what he does, what his goals are. He's a very interesting character that's been left like sort of a blank. I wouldn't say a blank slate, but there's more to explore with him in the following movie. And yeah, so that's overall my review of the movie. I do apologize it for being all over the place. Hopefully once I start reviewing some more movies and producing some more content, that it will become a bit more structured and more entertaining for you guys. Now, in saying this, I will be doing a movie review of the F1 movie. I went and saw that last night. Again on the opening day. That was a very enjoyable movie for myself. But so to round this all up, I'd just like to say that 28 Years Later is a very exciting and unpredictable movie to watch. Um, it's a part of a trilogy, so you can maybe be left a bit disappointed with the story wise. Um, and look, overall, out of 10 is probably a bit of a dated system and not a true system to use when reviewing movies. But I'd like to give the movie a 7 out of 10. Now, I absolutely love this movie and enjoy it. I don't think it's perfect, but I enjoyed the movie. And yeah, so that's it. That's my overall review. I can't wait for 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple to come out next year. And yeah, that's it, guys. Thank you for sticking with me, and there'll be more reviews to come. Thank you. Bye.